see and everybody you can't that we've talked about. I'm here to strain with you, man. I swear to God, I'm here to strain with you. Let's go. Everything you got, strain with everything you got. Let's go. Bills on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bills.
You're listening to the Off Tackle with John Fina show with your host, Joe Miller. Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Off Tackle with John Fina show, brought to you by the Market Dominator team on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, presented by Picasso's Pizza. Treat yourself to the most flavorful pizza on game day. Picasso's, we are Buffalo Pizza, shipping local and nationwide, or order online at picassospizza.net. I am the host of this here Off Tackle with John Fina show, coupled with the star of the show, that guy over there, whose name is, in fact, John Fina. At least I've never checked your record, your birth certificate, but that's what you tell me. You tell me your name is John Fina. But John, oh, it was close. It was a half pop.
Not bad, not bad. You know, I might have been created in a lab.
You might.
I mean, other things have been created in a lab.
It would explain a lot. If you were created in a
you
lab.
knew me, it would explain a lot.
We can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Oh, that technology is ancient, baby.
But it is good to be with Bills Mafia back again after a week off, and especially just with all of the good news. And for those that have not heard, Damar Hamlin left the hospital and is back in Buffalo today. So, and with that came the report that I think on Friday he was actually doing laps around the whatever floor he was on at the hospital. So he was up and mobile and moving around on Friday and Saturday, and obviously watched the game on Sunday. So with that, it's good to be here with you. It's good to be here with everybody who is piling into the comment section right now. I'm getting over to that. So Richard Rush, Pamela is in the room, Eric Farrell. Who else? Jason Humbert, rather. Karen Idzik is in the room. Jay Mack, a whole bunch of folks. A lot of y'all are here, and we appreciate every one of you. Do me a favor, whatever platform you're watching, including right now on YouTube or listening on, please jump on that like button. Please subscribe.
Pop the like button.
Pop the like button. And if you are squirrely and you want to ask John a question or give us a comment or something like that, please throw us a super chat. We are Super Chat Live, and we would love to have a conversation with you. But John,
Joe,
how you feeling?
Woo, relieved. Excited about Damar Hamlin's release.
Yeah.
From the hospital.
Yeah.
You know, as much as a player, you've been around injury and you've seen guys go down on the field and they get carted off and you get the golf clap, and you've always had the experience of it's going to be okay.
Right.
That, well, even if it is a career-ending injury, we never saw a life-threatening, life-ending injury circumstance.
Right.
And it was hard to cope with, especially as a player, former player, to try to put myself into the shoes of, well, everybody on the field, Bengal or Bill or otherwise.
Yeah.
It kind of lingered. It lingered a lot. Not just I'm thinking about Damar, I'm hoping for Damar, but the pain and the uncertainty and the fear, that everybody must have felt and still might, continue to feel.
Yeah.
I've worked in healthcare, Joe. We've talked about it a long time. I've seen people code. I've seen various things happen in the operating room and in the emergency department. But there's never the expectation that nothing bad will happen in those circumstances.
Right.
So it's just incongruous, that those two things came together. So I'm thrilled. When I saw it, I think it was 2:00 Mountain Time, 4:00 Pacific, when they said he was back in Buffalo and released. I was in that like the 5th or 6th wave of relief that just kind of washes over you, and it was incredible. It was incredible.
So I know several players, former players that have struggled, that have told me that they're struggling just with the whole entire thing. And obviously the Bills players haven't really shaken it either. Tre'Davious White in his post-game presser on Sunday made the comment that every time he closes his eyes, every time a commercial comes on TV, like even with him knowing that he's okay, he's just reliving that moment. And the moment that strikes everybody, from the information that I have gathered, because if you remember on Monday, he got injured, they cut away, they came back, they cut away, they came back, and that was when everybody was losing it. My understanding is that was the moment they had already taken his shirt off and like cut his pads off, and they were like pounding on his chest, which is what caused the lung damage, trying to restart his heart. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the moment when everybody was like, what is happening right now? So what they've seen, and what's interesting about the whole entire situation is the way that they shielded all the cameras. That was, to me, profound, important. Pick a word to go here. Outstanding. The fact that, some of them obviously were facing and watching, a lot of them were turned and facing away because they couldn't watch, but they were shielding what was going on from the cameras, from the crowd, because it's just not something I would have wanted to watch it once, let alone watch it again.
Well, like I said, I've been in the operating room when people have coded for a surgery not related, to the heart condition or what have you. And it is a profoundly ethereal experience. Like you don't know where to place yourself. You're existing while it's going on, but it's hard to reason it. Although I have to say the people that actually do that work are amazing.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about the teams on the sideline. How easy would it be to get sucked into the game and just miss when Damar Hamlin falls, or the next guy, or the last guy, because you're sucked into this incredible environment.
Right.
With those healthcare professionals, at the end of every play, they got to be looking at the offensive, defensive line, quarterback, where the play ends. I mean, they have to have eyes on like hawks.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible choreography of healthcare professionals that saved Damar's life, and Damar saving his own life too. Right.
And it's incredible when you think it, like they've talked, over the week about how they practice this. They practice at the beginning of the year. They run drills, I guess is what you would call it. That, and like when getting to the stadium, asking where certain devices are and certain things are. And what's funny about all of that is what you said, that this wasn't supposed to happen there. And even with saying that this wasn't supposed to happen there, like these two things aren't ever supposed to meet, no matter how much we've seen a guy break his leg, a guy get knocked unconscious, a guy fall to the ground, and all the players like freaking out and telling like the training staff to come because he's out like a light. You just always are waiting for the thumbs up. You're always waiting for the I'm good. You're always waiting for the whatever it is, and it's expected. And you almost, where I'm going with this is, you almost become numb to it. Right. It's just like, oh, that sucks. I hope it's not one of my guys, one of my team guys. Right. I hope he's going to be okay. I'm sure he will. Like you said, rarely is it a career ending injury. I'm thinking of like Napoleon Kaufman, I think was the Raider who was standing up, and that might have been back when you were playing, and got bent straight over and like folded his leg in the completely wrong direction, and it ended his career. You just don't see that very often.
And a great kid, by the way. He ate like 6 lobster tails and 3 fillets on his Arizona visit. I was like, he's like this tall. I mean, to me, and I couldn't believe where he put it all away. I was like, Napoleon, holy cow.
That's funny.
What a great kid.
Yeah. Mind like a steel trap, that Joe Miller. That's funny that I picked the reference that without even like this is not scripted, that we did not script this part of the show. And you knew that guy. But like for me, the numbness of it, like, yeah. It's a school fire drill, right? It's like, yeah. Whatever. Schools don't catch on fire. And then the school catches on fire, and they operated perfectly. Like they maneuvered, moved, and everything happened the way that it needed to happen. Because if you lose 30 seconds in that, you might lose the man. Right.
And if you're interested, Joe, I heard recently on a news report that it's at the high school level, but below in youth athletics, there are not AEDs at every competition. And I'm sure you know that, and our listeners know that as well. And if you go on Twitter and you find Mark Maddox at the Help One Foundation, or maybe on Facebook, I'm considering Mark's doing a Bills game watch with one of the Tempe Bills backers clubs, and they're going to raise money to purchase AEDs for athletic groups. So,
very good. That's awesome. That's a great cause. That's it.
So Help One Foundation on Twitter, I think that's his handle, and I know he's on Facebook. Mark Maddox, Buffalo Bill, does a lot of great things, raising money for the the needy, mostly meals.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's for AEDs.
So what was it, getting back to just you and some of the other guys that used to play that had they were shook by? I mean, I think we were all shook by it, but had a hard time shaking it. Right now, I told everybody on the show last night, and I think you may have tuned in, that I didn't have words last week. There's a moment where you just step aside and you let the professionals do what the professionals are meant to do. These are professional journalists. They report on this stuff. And I just felt like I didn't have words to add, and my words were unnecessary. But for you as a former player, what was it about that moment that just took you a little more time to kind of shake it off? Was it just the realization that it can happen?
I think other than Hollywood, you never see this kind of thing on display.
Right.
And in Hollywood, you always know in the back of your mind that it's just acting.
Right.
You've seen it a million times in a movie.
Right.
But I don't think anybody's ever, and we didn't see it because of the judicious nature of our players and the Bengals players blocking it, which I think was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But you knew it was happening.
Right.
And whether you were a player or not, to think that you're seeing this in real time, I think that's what got everybody, is you were experiencing it in real time. And in the lingering effect, I think also comes with, even in healthcare, I saw it a few times, but every time I did see it, it was a little like, yeah, I don't ever want to see that again.
Right.
So, and then as a player, you can always put yourself back. That could happen to me at any moment.
Yeah.
Now, the truth is, and I think it's still conjecture about what exactly happened. Was it commodio cordis? Did he have a pre-existing condition? Everything at this point in time, until they tell us exactly what the condition was, is all conjecture.
That's right.
And that's science, right? You got a big funnel, and we're just trying to chisel everything down and say, not that, not that, not that, until it gets smaller and smaller.
Right. Until we know exactly what it was.
And I think that unknown aspect of it too. I mean, in my opinion, and again, you were talking about, why did you disappear from social media? I also did. There wasn't anything I could add. And the more I looked, I think the more I felt, not just for Damar Hamlin, but I replayed everything that has happened to Buffalo in the past 6 months in my head. Going back to that awful, horrendous, horrific, vile event at Tops, to Kim Pegula, and then the winter storm and the house and the injuries, and culminating, hopefully, and this is the last one, for the love of God, could this be the last one, Damar Hamlin?
Yeah,
and ended on a positive note.
And what got overshadowed and all that was John Murphy as well. So John Murphy actually had a stroke on Friday or Saturday before the game. So
it's just I think for me, every time I went back and I looked at all the tweets from my amazing Bills Mafia friends, and even outside of Bills Mafia, because I was getting an enormous number of follows, and I occasionally I'll open it just to make sure I'm not going to get some nut job like Joe Miller who's going to hound me a little bit. And I mean, these were people completely unrelated to football. They were unrelated to any sports whatsoever. But I think this hyper awareness of Damar Hamlin and the energy produced around it had people like wanting to express themselves. And I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, the unity of the country, the unity of the football world, the unity of the people surrounding him in prayer, and the situation in prayer. And make no mistake, Buffalo still needs prayer. So for whatever reason, something's going on, and it's been a weird 300 days. I don't know the exact amount of days, but it hasn't been a calendar year. It's been a weird 300 days, and I think we're all ready for it to be over. But let's go ahead and start talking about this football game. But before we do,
it's the Market Dominator.
Market Dominator. So here is a special message from our title sponsor, John Spazchek.
Hey, it's John Spazchek here with the Market Dominators team. We are so grateful to be sponsoring the Off Tackle Show with John Fina, hosted by our good friend Joe Miller. And I want to reflect on the events last Monday night. I sat there live on the 40-yard line in Cincinnati, and I was devastated. But I was also impacted by the way that everyone responded. A team, a nation, a league, a family, everyone no matter how you want to phrase it, came together to support Damar Hamlin in prayer and his family. And we're grateful for that. And that's similar to the approach that we seek to take when we care for you in helping you through the transaction of real estate, because it does involve some sort of life transition. And we learned this week that life is more important than anything else. And so we want to keep that in the center of everything that we do. We seek to educate, advocate, negotiate, and dominate. So if you need your house sold or you're looking to win in this market, reach out to us directly, 716-570-3298, and we will show you the support and care just the way that life was demonstrated this week for Damar. Last thing, go Bills.
Go Bills. Ladies and gentlemen, that is John Spascheck. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, please give him a call at 716-570-3298. He will answer his phone. Now, let's talk about just this game. We normally start, with just kind of like just our overall overarching thoughts on the game, and we could probably get stuck here all night, which I don't really have a plan as far as that goes. Let's just talk about let's just talk
the game unraveled like there was no plan either. My God.
But I'm gonna let you go first, and you can start at the beginning from that storybook kickoff return for a touchdown, just wherever you want to go with this. What thoughts?
Wow. I've been sitting around here telling you for 3 years now, I just want special teams not to hurt us.
Yeah.
And as much as I like Tony Romo, he said, "Oh, both these teams are great in special teams." And I was like, mediocre at best over here. And just waiting for something to happen, waiting for the Naheem Hines effect. And wow, what an incredible start to the game. That's what I'm talking about. Don't hurt us at all and occasionally do something amazing.
Right.
And you know what? We got two amazings and one really crappy. So I think we're still on the plus side of that.
Taiwan Jones thing, right?
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I gotta ask the question because you've played on return teams before and coverage teams, not for long, but you played a little bit. The ball is bouncing and rolling. They're clearly yelling poison or whatever the word is to get everybody. Why is
go back and watch it again? When he thought the ball was going to continue rolling toward him, he stopped doing this maneuver. But he's got to be doing like a wild chicken, wild turkey, waving his arms.
Which is fine, but why is Taiwan Jones even engaged in a block at that point to be pushed into the ball? Because
they have their back to the ball. They don't see it. By the time you get halfway down, you've turned and you're looking toward where the punter was and you're stalking your guy. And then when the guy gets even with you, it's like playing DB, you turn and run with him. And you hope at the end of when the run back starts, you're on the right side and you shield your guy. You're not even looking at the ball.
All right. So we can move on from that. I was just curious because that was my thought, was like, why is he not just giving up on that block? All right, if you want to run down there and touch the ball down, feel free. But yeah.
Thoughts on this game. It offered us everything that we have been celebrating and screaming bloody murder about all season. No change. No, I hate to say the D word in front of you, Joe, but no damn change.
Elaborate. What do you mean no damn change?
No rhythm in the running game. No rhythm to Ken Dorsey's play calling. I don't disagree with the type of plays, maybe just the order in which they're called.
Yeah.
Defense looks good for a half against the run, goes to sleep for a half against the run. We're going to play soft coverage. You hate it. I hate it. It's what we do. It's what Leslie Frazier says. We are going to win because we're going to hold them to 23 and they're going to get 28 on the other side of the ball.
Or 35, but yeah.
I wasn't quoting the game score. I'm just saying in the end, the blue and red guys are going to have more than the red and yellow guys. And I don't love it. I don't love it.
Plan. It's so for me, there was
but only 3 losses. I mean, here we are quibbling
right
with a 13-3 team. And that also makes me just want to choke you.
Me? Why are you choking me?
You dragged me into this.
But no, it's and I got to do so. I had my cathartic session already kind of done, and it was funny because I said it on the show last night on the Overreaction post game show. Just going through my notes, and I had to make a conscious decision at some point to be like, I'm not going to be negative. And even hearing, or not even hearing, there was some assuming that I made as much as the bill said, oh, we got our normal week's worth of practice in, we had a walkthrough on the media made a big thing about like they had a full practice finally on Thursday. They only did a walkthrough on Wednesday. Well, they always do a walkthrough on Wednesday. They never have a full practice on Wednesday. So that was normal, but just all the distraction, the emotion release. I can't even imagine that part of it as far as all of the emotional drain that they went. I was exhausted after this football game. I can't imagine how they even felt going into it. And then you hear today, so like, I don't know how much of the coverage you've caught today, that they basically didn't practice last week.
Yeah.
They weren't into the game plan. They were completely it was almost like somebody had a wedding on Thursday. The reception was 2 days long and they got together on Sunday to play a football game.
I went to that wedding in Spain. Listen, the part you didn't let me finish was the expectations, right? The thoughts on the game were I was shocked that we got the same game that we always get.
Right.
But, given the circumstances, because I was like, these guys could come out flattered and flat, or it's going to be 65-7.
Right.
I didn't expect it to look like a normal game.
Yeah, it was wild to me, and Pamela's, I think, talking about it right now in the comments section. At one point, the Patriots had 3 touchdown drives, and on those drives, Mac Jones was 17 of 17. And it's funny because you think about that stat, you think about it's being Mac Jones, and Mac Jones has been wildly bad this year, and Matt Patricia has been worse. You want to talk about Ken Dorsey and some of the challenges we have. Matt Patricia has been a joke of an offensive coordinator this year, and Mac has been horrible. I mean, they wanted to replace him with Bailey Zappi for goodness sakes. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, John, you could have put, you back there, and how wide open his wide receivers were. He was literally just playing pitch and catch with guys like, oh, that guy's open. Oh, that guy's open. Oh, that guy's open. Like, I don't even know that it was because of the off coverage. I don't know what the problem was outside of I think there was just too much going on. So the fact that we got out of that
there was some drifting in the secondary. I thought guys weren't closing like they should, reading the keys. Right. There was a play where I looked at Marlowe and I was like, well, why are you sitting out there in the middle flat when there's no other threat? You could have been closing down on, I don't know if it was Bourne or whomever. I'll say this, they did try some strikes down the sideline and they were successful a little bit. They weren't successful against Trey White in the middle of the field on a long ball. They went after Kaiir Elam after what I thought was kind of a ticky-tack hold, and he fared very well. And then he gives up a touchdown on what you argue is an underthrown back shoulder ball, but Kaiir Elam was a step ahead of the receiver.
Yeah.
And whether that's right or wrong, because I ain't no DB and I don't coach it, kid looks good, right? So, and look, it's the way they're going to do it. We bring blitz, and we are not terribly successful. We get burned. Yeah. So we sit back and we say, we're going to bore you to death.
Yeah.
And that is what Leslie Frazier is going to do. And look at him on the sideline. It fits his personality. He's not a guy who's running around waving and screaming. He looks like a scientist, he's like, it's Novocaine. He's like, I'm just pushing the Novocaine.
Right.
And eventually you're going to make a mistake. And you're right about Mac Jones. He was solid. He was on.
I don't think he was on as much as it was just there.
It doesn't matter. Guys drop balls. Hey, guys drop balls, right? And
he's an NFL quarterback for a reason. I think they could have played Nathan Peterman in that football game. And in the first 2.5 quarters, I think Nathan Peterman would have had similar stats to Mac Jones. And then the Bills defense did begin to do some things and kind of get him off balance and get the team. And obviously the 3 interceptions were big. They came up big once again. I mean, this team, they overcome. They're resilient. And I don't know how much we can even begin to ask them to overcome. I said on the show last night that if they get bounced in the playoffs, to me, with everything that's happened this year and what they've gone through, this season is a victory. Like, good job. 13-3 with what you went through. Great job.
Well, not just what they went through, but this, and I see it now, it's hard. I'm 2,300 miles away. Mm-hmm. This team is really embedded in the community, and they really kind of feed off the community, and they feel like the community owns them. They own the community. It's a real symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
And it's not just the injuries on the field. It's all the things that happen in Buffalo. And that's a lot. That is a lot to take, for somebody who's a mere mortal like you. I'll say this. I mean, there were some really good things. I don't know if that's our transition point. My expectations were no idea what to expect.
Yeah,
Thoughts
same.
on the game. They balled out when they needed to ball out. And the idea that they don't have a good coach and a good quarterback and a couple of really good players on defense and offense, they're going to make plays. But in the end, we made more plays.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I do have a ton of notes because I just rewatched the game, so I could mail them to you or review them in gruesome detail.
We are going to talk about some of the good stuff in this football game.
Yeah.
But before
we do,
House Capital.
Absolutely.
Brian Belser, who sat in my seats yesterday. So he actually.
Oh, that's awesome for Belser.
Yes, I was like, what a game to go to. Huh? And he goes, it was amazing. Thank you.
You know what Brian Belser says? He says, if you're looking to buy a house, everybody's got a guy, but not like Spascheck. He said that if you need work done on your roof, heck, everybody's guy, even Matt Thompson in the comments. And if you're looking to get your financing together, though, there is only one guy, and his name is Brian Belser, House Capital Corporation. He is your guy, the guy. He is him. They help make the mortgage process simple at House Capital, hassle-free and understandable. House Capital, they have relationships with preferred lenders in the area, and they will give you the edge up in getting the financing you need. So don't mess around. I mean, he endorses this show. Go to Brian Belser at House Capital. He is the man. Take it to the house with House Capital.
Take it to the house.
Oh.
Give Brian Belser a call, 716-815-2102, 716-815-2102. Are you writing those reads or are they sending them to you?
No, I make it up. He's only ever sent me one read. I make it up every time. Is it bad? This one wasn't very good.
I'm impressed. That's talent right there. You are going above and beyond the Call of Duty.
I like Brian.
Above and beyond the Call of Duty.
There's a couple of people in the comments I don't like, though. I'm kidding.
I was going to say, ruh-roh. So the good from this football game, it's incredible to me to and we've got a couple plays. I don't know how many good plays we have, but I know you sent me 4 plays to pull down.
None of them are good.
Oh, never mind them. We've got some negative.
No, that's why I wanted it. We'll do those on the bad. Needs work.
But
I can't help it. Like, how do you critique a good play?
Everybody
saw it. Nobody wants to know why it worked. They want to know why a play failed miserably.
That's funny. No, to me, there's more proof. As much as rhythm, sometimes, as you said, yesterday in that football game was a little bit of an issue. There's something to be said for what they're doing on the ground. I mean, they're in run situations, obvious run situations. They're finally being successful, which is something that they have not been over the last 2 or 3 years. And it's growing ever more increasingly awesome to see the patience of James Cook. To see James Cook before, where he would take the football and I don't know what was going in his head other than just like, oh my God, I got the football. Like, right. And now he takes the football from Josh. And if there's nothing there, he stops and waits. And then he finds a hole and starts to work his way through it. Wildly excited for this kid. I mean, as much as we've seen him begin to develop over the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, it's just beginning to like build upon itself to the point where I love Devin Singletary, but I want to see even more share from James Cook, knowing that that's the guy that's going to be here probably next year, unless Devin Singletary decides to take a hometown discount, which I don't expect him to take. This is his family. This is his life, and go get the bag, right? Go get what you got to get.
I guess it depends on the market conditions, right?
Right, for sure. And then, and Josh Jacobs is going to set the market as far as that goes. So Devin Singletary is going to be worth even more money this year because Josh Jacobs is going to make, he's going to break records as far as for running back.
As well he should.
He is phenomenal, but probably the best running back in the league. But and then to see the return of the deep ball, that was incredible. And it's funny because I don't know where was your head at on the 3rd and 7. The Bills were up by 4 points. It was 28-24 or 28-23 or something like that. That was the one to Diggs. Josh Allen drops back, and Josh does this thing, right? So when he drops back, when he's going through his progressions, his head is down. When he's like, I'm going to take a shot, when he hits the top of his drop, his head is up. And as soon as his head is up, I start going, no, like it's 3rd and 7. What we need to do is continue this drive, get at least 3 points. Like, You don't need to chuck a ball 60 yards downfield in this moment. And then as soon as he lets it go, I yell, why at the television? Why? Like, why right now? Why do it right now? And then Diggs just runs under it. And it's like probably the throw and catch of the year for the Buffalo Bills. So, then it's the whole no, yes moment once again. But it was incredible to see just Josh he had another one that Gabe Davis dropped. He put that ball right in the bucket and Davis dropped it. So he could have had another freaking long ball. So there was a lot of good in this football game. It was great to see Tremaine with a pick. It was great to see Trey with a pick. It was great to see Matt Milano get a pick. The Trey and the Matt Milano ones were wildly important. I mean, they were in the end zone.
You're really excited because you haven't let me speak for like 90 seconds.
Yeah, there was
even
a
longer.
Lot.
You're rabid right now.
I apologize. There was a lot of
good stuff, man.
So I'll let you. So the floor is yours.
Oh man. Well, I look a little bit deeper than that.
Oh, deeper. You look deeper.
Yeah, I do. There are moments where I would agree with you as much as it pains me to do so. But yes, both the running backs, I'm really happy with what they're doing right now. Yeah. I really am. And to be doing it under the circumstances that they're doing it. You got me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll tell you, when I was looking at that, both of the big plays came after some really nice confidence building plays from Josh, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the smoke TD came after a really great read and a great move and some just electrification from Khalil Shakir.
Right.
Next play, boom. Or no, next game, McKenzie drop, but smoke on the TD. And then you go back, McKenzie makes a drop, right? And you're like, come on. And it's right after the chop block. McKenzie made the catch.
Yeah,
McKenzie made the catch.
Air quotes chop block.
Yeah, that was a rough call, but
that was not a penalty.
That was all about the angle.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So you get the chop block. McKenzie makes a great catch and a great move.
13. Yep.
It's just this buoyed feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as much as a lot of people want to blame the offensive line because I see a lot of that, a lot of the pressure didn't come from the offensive line.
Mm.
So Josh makes his own magic a lot of times. He leaves the pocket either early or he doesn't account. There was one play in particular I think we're going to look at that play, but there are so many instances in our offense where we're asking people to do things that they're just not great at. Right. And we either do it knowing they're not going to be great at it or with some expectation that they're going to get better. And I don't know which it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is blocking. What else was good? I agree with you. The takeaways, unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the secondary, despite playing soft, played pretty damn well. I mean, they kept everything in front of them. The long balls were all contested, even though one was a touchdown. Poyer got lost a little bit on the first touchdown by Parker.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, totally got spun around.
But beyond that, in a week like this, I'm okay, man. Coming out with this victory, there are going to be lapses because, like you said, if they aren't meeting, and a lot of them just spiritually, emotionally, we're not ready to meet.
Right.
And even if you're in there, that replay of Damar Hamlin being resuscitated on the field, you can't shake that in 3 days.
No.
You can't shake that in 4 days. Now, him getting out of the hospital, beating the Patriots, expunging that whole thing, I think this is the week we potentially see everything fire on all cylinders.
So two things. So I want to start with what you're talking about as far as just going through the week and the emotions and kind of being distracted because being in ministry for 15 years, full-time ministry, vocational ministry as an executive pastor, chief of staff, a lot of times my job was the temperament or just what's the temperature of the staff. And, ministry is hard. There's nothing easy about it. A term that we use a lot is ministry is messy because you're dealing with people. And not only are you dealing with people, but there's also really no off time. You can get called to the hospital at 11 o'clock at night 2:00 in the morning, Friday, Saturday. As much as people think that, like, oh, you're a pastor, you golf 6 days a week and you go to church on Sunday. That's literally not what it is. And I'm going
not if you're doing it right.
Right. Not if you're doing it right. Now, when you look at specific coaches that have a very personal, humane culture, right, is the term that I want to use. So Marv was always accused of being Club Marv, right? That it was player friendly. You guys were a very tight knit group, and he was more managing maybe some of the personalities. When you look at McDermott and the way that he's coaching, it's a family feel as well. There's more of a family feel there. And I can tell you just from listening to some of the press conferences, and they, I think Josh said they spent a lot of time praying. I heard one of the other players say it. Literally, they've only got so many hours they can be together. So my takeaway from that is they're in a team room, right, with the group, as far as like, whatever the position group is, and whatever it is they're trying to talk about for the game on Sunday is probably not going well, right? And I don't mean like they're fighting. It's just like, and it probably turns into why don't we just pray for Damar? And like literally they spend whatever time they're supposed to be spending game planning, going over stuff, whatever, being conscious about, putting their thoughts and prayers in their minds on Damar in that moment. So I completely get it. It totally makes sense. I've been in those moments, not specifically to this one, but similar to situations like this where it's all I can do and I can't do anything else but this. So to see them come through this game the way they did, to the blocking piece, I was thinking about this. It was this morning. I didn't even think about it yesterday, or would have mentioned it. Do you remember Uche in the first meeting a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Destroyed this offensive line.
Yeah.
Uche destroyed them, and he was invisible. I think I heard his name called once. So there was definitely some adjustment that was made because Judon got loose once or twice. But that Uche kid, last game, I was like, I'm nervous to play him whenever we play him because
he's a talent, and sometimes though that talent disappears. Guys tend to take plays off or games off occasionally. He's young, so Judon might get in his ear a little bit.
Right.
I'll say this: one of the things that I look at and I continue to look at are the tackles' footwork, and frankly, I don't know. If they're being coached or they're watching somebody else or they're dialed in more, but both tackles' footwork is improving considerably.
You've been, I don't want to use the word critical. You've been highly aware of their.
Yeah, because it works for Dion, and he's a terrific football player. And every tackle gives up a sack or a pressure or what have you, and he doesn't give it up on an inordinate number. So I don't have an issue with the guy's success rate, but the type of person, and me, I'm there's a little, type A lurking inside of me that when I see it, I'm just like, oh, and I coach my older son, and now I'm coaching my younger son. Right. And I'm like, this is how it's done. You either do it this way or you're a failure.
Right.
No, it's not quite that rough, but you get the idea.
That's funny. Yeah, a little anal retentive as it pertains to certain techniques and the way that the position is supposed to be played. Yeah. It's funny too because I don't overly see it, and there's times I watch for it, but it's probably first step, second step, which we've talked about on the show before with you.
I'll tell you what we'll do when I come back to Buffalo. You and I will sit in front of the TV. We'll open up a bottle of bourbon.
All right.
We'll eat some wings. And we'll watch a game the way I watch it, which may not be that much different than the way you do. But I'll tell you where my eyes go immediately.
Right.
And how I watch the game.
Yeah.
But
that'd be awesome.
Man, we're circling the drain, or we're geniuses, but I don't know what's next.
What do you mean? What's next?
I don't know, man. It's great. I'm having fun.
Why don't we do the Q42 read, and then we'll talk about some of the work that's possibly needed. We'll hit a couple videos, and then we'll get on to the next game.
Okay,
playoffs.
But before I do the
elimination tournament,
did you see my barbecuing this weekend with the Orion cooker? Insane. But what I did was I got 3 racks of ribs and I coated them in the Q42 barbecue rub. And oh my God, it was incredible. And that Orion cooker is amazing. But listen, let's just keep it simple, right? Q42 barbecue sauce is made in Buffalo. It's celebrated at every tailgate. Once you try Q42's award-winning sauces and rubs, you'll understand the difference that using real ingredients can make. Save 33% when you go to QUE42BBQ.com and hammer in or type in or gently peck the keys. That coupon code, all capitals, Fina Show. Gotta love it, man. I gotta tell you, I love it. I can't get enough of it.
My wife pulls the jar of Carolina Gold out of the fridge and says, "This is my favorite barbecue sauce." I'm like, "Are you just saying that because they sponsor our show?" She goes, "No, this is my favorite barbecue sauce."
All right. True story. And even though Iman never watches our show and he's looking for somebody bigger to sponsor now, I know, I get it. It's fair. We're small time. Listen, my son Roman doesn't even like mustard. And last night we're cutting up these 3 racks of ribs, and I got, the red Q42 over here, and Roman says, "Are we out of the Carolina?" I'm like, no, it's in the fridge. And the kid who doesn't even like mustard's like all over the Carolina. It's great stuff. It's great stuff, Joe.
Yeah. So Pete pays you a compliment here. Pete says, "This is the first time I've seen John Fina in almost 30 years. Looks slim."
Hey, who is that?
Cameras can be deceiving. He's actually about 425.
That's not Paul Russell, is it? It's not Pete. Paul
Pete.
Russell. No, I know a guy named Pete I haven't seen in about 30 years.
The reason that he looks slim is because he's wearing a schmedium.
No, I'm wearing a schmedium, but I always like to tease Joe. Shout out to the Bills backers of Boulder, Colorado. Check
Triple
out
B,
that
baby.
logo, bro.
Triple B. I love it.
How cool is that logo?
Are those the mountains of Bush or are those the Colorado Rockies?
Those are the Colorado Rocky Mountains.
Mountains of Bush.
What's next on the
so we want to talk a little bit about the work, and I pulled 4 videos for you because you asked politely. And I'm not even sure. I didn't even know how to name them. So you just put Gilliam release pressure. So you're like coding stuff now, like I'm supposed to know what these things mean. But the first one, and they're all short clips, nothing from the end zone angle, which I was upset about. But it is
that's okay. As long as you tell me what I texted you, I can remember it. But when I'm half a glass of bourbon and half a beer in, there's no chance if you throw it up there. I'm just kidding.
That's funny. Who was it?
Roll tape.
Was it Tre'Davious White that said it was a shit show this week? Well, it's a shit show right now.
Well, look, Gilliam comes in motion across the formation, and then he sits, and he's going to protect, right?
Yes.
So what happens is the ball snapped, Gilliam sets and protects, and then he releases his rusher. So ostensibly, Josh should know that he's open now. You take 2 more frames, go ahead. If Josh, instead of looking to his left, flicks it out over.
Oh, geez. I didn't even
really
see
high.
that. When all of my eyes were drawn to the bottom left-hand side of the screen.
So people who want to blame the offensive line for pressure, this is Gilliam, but he didn't make like I'm Reggie Gilliam opportunity to block the guy. It's like a chip and release, which says to me, Josh should know it's chip and release. He flicks this over Spencer Brown's head, roll tape. It's nothing but carpet. There's nobody there.
Yeah, there's nobody in front of him.
There's nobody there.
Right.
So again, not the offensive line's fault, but just a curious kind of, hey, why are we doing this when the other guy doesn't know?
So this is a design play, right? This is this a read and react an option that Gilliam has, or is this literally what the play is supposed to be? Lets him go, or did he miss his block and he's out there like, okay, I missed my block, I'm open?
Well, it's a bit of both. He went after Spencer's guy first and then bounced out to the other guy, but Josh has to know when your tight end or your H is in solid protection.
Right. The question is who is he looking at? It doesn't look that there doesn't appear to be a receiver down on the bottom side of the screen. So he's got to be looking at Dawson, right?
No, there is a guy at the bottom. Well, Dawson Knox.
Yeah. He's looking for Dawson at that point. And then he gets to look number 2. And by then it's over. Yep. He's taking off.
Yep. Next play,
please. And Spencer Brown's guy was Matthew Judon, who he went low on Josh Allen on one hit or on one rush, but really he hasn't done a whole lot against the Buffalo Bills.
All right. What did I text you on this one?
This is quarter 1, 126 zone strong. Y motion.
Oh, okay. Don't even start the play. You got I think it's Gabe Davis at the top, right?
Yes.
We're running zone. Like, why would you bring the little guy into the frame? So give me a couple more frames and they line it up.
Who's the little guy?
Little guy. They're receivers. They're always little guys.
Gabe Davis is like 6'1" or 6'2".
They don't block like it. Stop right there.
Well, he blocks better than Khalil Shakir.
All right, stop right there.
Yes.
Number 31 on the defense, can't place his name. He doesn't want to come inside the numbers, but he has to follow Gabe Davis.
Right.
But if you look whether this is inside zone or zone strong, we've got a tight end, a tackle, and a guard in this formation. So if you count from Mitch Morse vertically on the screen, there are 5 guys, right?
Above Mitch. So Mitch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Gabe.
And then on defense, 6. There are 5 guys. Now what you're doing is bringing a little guy in, and you're making a mess of the whole thing.
What's funny too is Roger Saffold is covered up in this. So you're looking at Quentin Morris, and then you're looking at Deion Dawkins, and then Saffold is between Dawkins and Morris, and you can't see him. He's actually hidden in this picture.
Right. So why bring another guy into the play? So this is going to be James Cook. He's going to try to bounce it out to the right side, but Gabe, who's not a blocker, gets popped, and it bends the corner. So instead of James being able to go at an angle to the sideline, he only gets 3 yards. He probably could have ended up getting 6 or 7. But to me, the point is, I want to get inside Dorsey's head and say, explain to me why you motioned a guy from the sideline inside the numbers just to bring another tackler inside the numbers and use a worse blocker than the guys who are up front.
Well, the better question is so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenders. They put 2 on Judon, who gets held, and he's losing his mind when he gets held. 23 comes, so that's 6, and they've got what? Everybody but Cook and Josh blocking, and they still can't get away.
I don't like it. I mean, it's inside zone. Cook should probably hit it up inside, but if you don't bring Gabe Davis down into this formation, look what it does now.
I'd love to see the end zone look, because there's got to be a gap here on the left side. I know he wants to go to the right, but there's got to be a gap on the left side.
Yeah, there's another thing about this. Run it back again. I don't even know what the hell this play is. Watch Deion Dawkins. He's setting like pass. It looks like draw, but it also looks like inside zone, and the running back is taking it out like it's zone strong. Like this is 4 plays with 0 identity. I can't even decipher it.
And Quentin Morris just he goes into a pattern. He goes in like you said. He's not even. I don't even know if he's looking for a second level guy to block.
He's going to run that guy off.
You think so?
But if it's inside zone, that doesn't explain what Dawkins is doing.
Yeah,
so if it's draw, that doesn't explain what the inside 3 are doing. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what the hell this play is. And and usually I can watch a play twice and go, oh, I know what that is.
Well, you see 2 of the offensive linemen or I guess it's at least one get to the second level. I think that's Saffold that's actually getting to the second level, which is what they tried to do, and they did successfully against the Bears. They leaked out a guy to the second level. Like on that actually, I'm wrong. That is Ryan Bates that actually is leaking out. So yeah, I think it's supposed to come inside, and he takes it to the outside, but it is what it is. So.
I don't understand it. But that leads me into like another comment, just like, oh, actually, you're gonna love it. Go ahead. Let's see what do we have here.
I don't know. Hang on a second. Look at my notes. Weak zone. So this is the first play of the second quarter. Strong safety blows up play and knocks.
Oh, yeah. This is always, I just want to tell people, like, occasionally the defense does something really good, and you can't block everybody as an offensive line, right? So 2 things happen on this play. One of them you cannot control, and that's the safety who's standing between the S and the L, who just fills. And you can't, if you have 5, you can't block 6. If you have 6, you can't block 7. He's number 7. He comes down on weak zone. He fills the gap. But what also happens is Dawson Knox goes into the line rather than flat, and he doesn't get a good cutoff, which is why this play just gets stymied.
So Dawson is at the top of the screen inside of Khalil Shakir. So
right.
I'm not.
But he's got to come flat down the 4-yard line rather than into the line, because what happens is he ends up losing leverage.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, that's Gabe Davis to his outside. So Khalil Shakir and Gabe Davis to his outside. And then you see he gets turned right there.
Yep.
And Devin has no place to go. That's literally Dawson's guy that, well, never mind. They converged. There's 5 guys on him.
Yeah, but the reason this play died, and plays die all the time, is the safety comes down and fills the gap right there. Okay. And so the running back sees it. He doesn't want to get hit right there, cuts back right into the teeth of the defense. It just happens sometimes.
Just one of those things that happens. So 23 is the safety you're talking about.
Yep,
right, shoots the gap. So that was the gap that Devin was supposed to go through probably, right?
Oh, it would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
And they blocked it well as an offensive line. They just didn't block it well as a tight end and as a little guy.
So the last one for our audience's viewing pleasure, those of you that are watching on YouTube, Edmonds quarter 3 destroys the fullback.
Okay, so I go on record as saying I like Tremaine Edmonds. I think the invisible things he does for our defense are immeasurable. And I do like him. My knock on him has always been, I want him to be more physical. I just want him to take on blockers a little bit bigger and better. And when I saw this play, I was just thrilled because I love the kid. I was there the day after he got drafted, and I will always root for him. And when I saw this, I was like, more please, more please. So watch him come downhill and destroy number 87. Steps into the hole, bang.
Jeez. That's not Rob Gronkowski, that's for sure.
Or Chris Gronkowski. Listen, I love this. And as an offensive lineman and as a tight end, you hate it. When guys come downhill like that and just blow you up in the hole, it sucks.
To wake up, for sure.
He was pissed off about something. He hates that guy, which I'm okay with, but he came down and just laid the wood on him. It was awesome.
Yeah, Edmonds has been playing just other level. And I know we've talked a lot about it on this show and a couple of different ones, just about the fact that he's clean because the defensive line is doing its job. I want to talk just about the work, though, before we move on to the Miami Dolphins game this weekend. Another gentleman that we both love really feels like what you said is very much true for him as well, that this team just has no identity at all on offense, that literally there was 4 different offensive schemes that were played in that game yesterday. And that isn't necessarily due to the events of the past week, that the Bills have been wildly just kind of all over the place offensively. Do you feel that same way?
Yeah. And I'll tell you a short story. Very short. We got the ball either on a turnover or on a long play inside the 10-yard line, and we ran 3 pass plays and then ended up missing a chip shot field goal. And I came off the field screaming bloody murder, and then it got caught on film. And in the special teams meeting, the special teams coach, Bruce DeHaven, thought I was pissed at the kicker, and he started berating me, and Bruce and I got into a kind of a how's your father fight. And I wasn't mad that Steve Christie missed the kick. I was pissed off because we had an opportunity to run the ball into the end zone and just diminish emotionally the defense we were playing, and we didn't take it. Are you aware that on the offense's first drive of the game, there were no runs? And on the offensive third drive of the game, there were no runs, and both of them ended in punts.
I was not. I do know that there was one occasion on a drive where they drove the field. I think it was in the second half. They drove the field pretty successfully, mostly with runs, got into the red zone, 3 passes, and then it was pretty much over.
Interception. So the third part of that was on the end of the first half, run for the total of 34 yards, pass, INT. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't run the ball, you don't put your offensive lineman in a groove, you don't put the offense in a rhythm, I don't get it. And I like Dorsey. I think his play calling is fair to good, but the order, like I said earlier, the order in which he calls them.
Right.
And at the same time, when I rewatched the game today, I'm looking at New England, and their balance, run, pass, run, pass, run. I'm like, you just don't get that feel. You get a streak of runs and then a streak of passes, or just a streak of passes. I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
I don't even know what to make of it. And it's hard because there's just an aspect of, what we've come to expect and what we love, and, vintage Josh, right? Which is a guy that's just going to be dominant with his arm. He's going to kill you with his arm. And we saw some of that in this game. But we saw him also make that ball, that the interception that he threw was his fault. Yes, I know that there was pressure coming in his face, but who was he throwing that to? The only thing I can think is that he was going to throw it out of bounds, and it came out of his hand funny because his arm didn't get hit. And the ball was out before he got hit.
I mean, there was a slight amount of pressure on that, but he had a little bit of time. He could have skated.
Yeah.
It was just bad all the way around. I think he was probably – look, I don't believe that Josh Allen wants every play to be a pass either. And I'll tell you another thing. I looked in their third quarter, we ran Josh on a design keeper to the left side. And I was like, why? Why are you running that play right now? Your running backs are running the ball well. You've got two young – Singletary's still a young running back. Give them the damn ball when they're having success. You didn't see New England stop giving the ball to Stevenson. They gave it to him more.
Right. Yeah, what's interesting as well is and I'm wondering how many of the plays are – I know it's not a traditional RPO, I know what a run pass option is, but I know when they're at the line, depending on what the defense is showing them, Josh is the option to run or pass, right? So I wonder how many of those. It's funny because they throw so much. I wonder how many times he's looking at the defense and he's like, oh, pass is the option here. So he makes the option to change the play, whatever he's going to do to move them into a pass. When I just can't, even as I sit here right now and think about it for the first time, I don't believe the defenses are like, we want to make this kid throw on us. That doesn't seem like what teams would want to do. But
I totally agree with you, Joe. I hate agreeing with you because it makes for a super boring show. People are flying off. They're logging off right now, but you're absolutely right. And by the way, sometimes you just got to run the damn ball. Right. Even if, they have a guy who's a half a yard inside the numbers and a guy who's at 12 instead of 15 at depth as a safety. Oh, we got to run the pass play. No, sometimes you just got to. They don't do that in Tennessee with the big guy.
Right.
They just feed the monster.
Yeah, but they also don't have Josh Allen. Ryan Tannehill's not Josh Allen. He's never going to be.
We can have both.
Josh Allen.
We can have both. We have two running backs who will produce, who we should groom a little bit more and feed a little bit more.
Yeah.
Give them the rolled oats. Put some honey on it, man.
It's possible. Let's wrap this show up and talk about just this game against the Miami Dolphins.
Wait. Last comment.
All right, go back. Yep.
Get the ball to Diggs. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Get the ball. Force the ball to Diggs a little bit. Get that guy open. Get him fed. And emotionally, he's going to buoy the team. And with yardage, he's going to demean the defense. There's something about defenders. They don't want Stephon Diggs to catch the ball because he's hilarious. Everything he does after he catches the ball is designed to humiliate safeties. And he does such a beautiful job of it. Yeah, I want to kill him and hug him at the same time.
I'm reminded of, I believe it was the first year he was here. It was a Miami Dolphins game. I had been pining for a long time that we need a number one wide receiver. That was back before you and I had even met. I just started doing my show. And literally people back then thought Robert Foster could be a number one wide receiver. That's how weird it had gotten in Buffalo. But in the Dolphins game, he jumps up and he high points a ball from Xavier Howard, who is one of the best corners in the league, and he lands on his back and he's got the ball in his hand and you can tell he's chirping at him. And all I can picture him saying to Xavier is, did I catch that? I think I caught that. Did I catch that? You didn't catch that, right?
That's awesome.
Just chirping at him, give it like, I got the ball. You see, I've got the ball, right? And he does that all the time. He's constantly smiling and laughing. And even if he's like putting his shoulder to somebody to hit them and kind of punish them for it, he vanishes for way too long of stretches in games. I
agree, and that's why they got to game plan him in.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Sure they bracket him. Sure they double cover him. Sure they're doing whatever they got to do to keep him out of the game. But
yeah, I agree, but the New England ran a play in the game, and I went back and watched it a couple times, and they just wanted to get 4 yards. They ended up getting 6, and it was just a beautiful little motion play with the tight end Hunter Henry out like a split position. He runs them both off. The receiver breaks. I think it was Bourne, and Elam is caught between a rock and a hard place, and it's just a beautiful little play. Yeah. Like we could design little, duos to run off the ball, break a guy out, give him the chance to hold the ball, turn and face the defender, and make a move.
Yeah, and Pamela actually brings up a point that I was thinking about earlier that I forgot to mention. Josh was very safe in this game running the football. He did not put himself in harm's way. He did not take any big hits. He was running out of bounds, which I thought was interesting, that it's like, oh, this kid's actually thinking about the playoffs right now.
Yeah, no. And I also, and also having the lead at the time, there was no reason to invigorate everybody. And to Pam's credit, or to Pam's point, Josh recognized that.
Yeah.
This is a point in the game where I don't have to give the Herculean effort. Right. For sure. So let's just talk real quick, and then we'll get out of here just about this football game coming up on Sunday. As of right now, there are no expectations on who's going to play quarterback. So it could be, and I forget his name, somebody in the comment section will know, the guy that played this weekend. Josh Allen?
No, for the Dolphins. Teddy Bridgewater has a hurt finger. There's the possibility that he could play. Tua is still in concussion protocol. Mike McDaniel said that he is not willing to comment. Everybody's obviously hoping to get him back. The line from Vegas, the spread, 10 points, 9 points, kind of says that Tua is probably not playing in this football game. Skylar Thompson. So thank you, Troy. But yes, to that point, I don't know what to expect. I don't know. The Dolphins played us well. They literally could not muster any offense at all against the Jets. Like, really nothing. Like, Skylar Thompson couldn't just drop back and throw the ball as hard as he could and wait for Hill to run under it. Like,
they do have Sauce Gardner, who, by the way, he could undress you in a hot second and have you in a new suit without a penalty being called.
Two people. He's not going to address Waddle and Hill at the same time.
I'm just playing.
Yeah, gotcha.
They called Elam, man. Sauce would have had that guy in and out of 3 different outfits.
Right. The good news is it's going to be good news. It's going to be like 27 degrees in Buffalo on Sunday. So that's the good news.
And there's no GoFundMe to get me into the game.
Well, I can't help you out for that. So McKenna's really upset that I'm going with Dad, and she's not going to get to watch the game with me. So she was actually crying earlier.
She needs to do her chores. And by the way, those tears, that's all drama. That she's faking that.
But what do you see? Third matchup. So you can probably speak to playing a team for the third time in the playoffs. It happened during your career several times. I can think of the AFC Championship game in Miami, where the Buffalo Bills had to go on the road the whole way. What is that like when you've played a team or you're about to play a team for the third? There's no surprises. You're not doing anything they don't know you're going to do, and they're not doing anything you don't know, right?
Yeah, I agree. I will say this, and it's the same thing I say to every kid I've ever coached in football. When it's my turn, at the end of practice, they're like, the head coach gives his speech and says, "Coaches, you got anything?" And I always say the same thing: who wins the game? And the kids they're perplexed. I don't know who wins the game. The team that makes the fewest mistakes.
Right.
The better you know your opponent, the more dialed in on everything you have to be.
Right.
And that comes especially with Waddle and Tyreek Hill, your coverages. You better be where you need to be. Yeah. That's it. And honestly, Joe, we didn't go over it in the work. We got to get more out of the front four on defense. If we are not going to bring high concept creative rushes involving the linebackers or edge small guys, then our 4 have to get there, and they're not. You could say Rousseau got one. It was a scramble. He had great effort. He was going to be there anyway, or I would have been super pissed. But we need pressure, and we're not getting pressure.
Yeah.
Especially if we're going to sit back and wait and let Waddle and Tyreek and not press them. I mean, we have got to get pressure.
I think to your point about pressure, but it's what you were talking about a second ago as well. They can't make the mistakes they've been making. They can't shoot themselves in the foot
No self-inflicted wounds.
3 and 4 times a game, right? So the
If we don't play defense in this game, we lose. If we can't stop them, we can't hold them to under 21, we lose.
Yes. Well, and their defense is good enough. You might need to hold them under 15, right? So 17.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good football game. It's gonna be a lot of fun. A single elimination starts here. And what's interesting about, when I said this last night, I think the Bills know. I think Josh Allen knows. He said in his post-game presser yesterday, he said, from here on out, it's, single elimination, and it doesn't matter how we win. It just matters if we score more points than the other team. So I think even he knows that they've hurt themselves a lot. And somebody said it in the comment section earlier, if it wasn't for 4 plays this year, this team's undefeated. 4 plays in 3 games.
4 plays in 3 games, we're undefeated. Absolutely. Right. And it's also a nod in the other direction, Joe. 3 losses under 8 points. This team finds a way to win. Mm-hmm. And we as fans, as alumni, just we have a show because we want to go deeper than that.
Right.
And it's not that we're disappointed. It's not that we think the team is mediocre. This is a great football team. But I'm just as they are.
Yeah.
I'm looking what I would do, what I would be thinking about as a player. And that's how I try to approach the show, is through my eyes. What do I need to get better on?
Yeah.
That's why I talk about footwork. Like, nobody wants to hear me talk about Deion Dawkins' footwork, but it matters to me. And every step, every inch, every assignment is going to matter from tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, Wednesday, all the way to Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned in to the Off Tackle with John Fina show, brought to you by the Market Dominator team on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. My name is Joe Miller. That over there is John Fina. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. You can find that guy at John Fina. Please follow him. He's a lot of fun. He does interact and all of that good stuff. John, any final thoughts before I get us out of here?
Damar Hamlin is alive and thriving. And if you believe in God, thank God. If you don't, thank medical or both. And it's an amazing turn of events.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And all of Buffalo should embrace that. Be good, be kind, pass on goodwill, and make our community, of which I'm a member, even though I'm in the sunshine.
I'm actually going to play something real quick, if I can find it.
Yeah, if you can find it. But what I was saying is, what a blessed week we've had, starting out most tragically.
Yeah. So yesterday, they told Sean McDermott. I played this on the show last night. They told Sean McDermott about Damar Hamlin sending his teammates, the defensive backs, a text that just said, "I'm sorry that I was such a distraction this week." Blah 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 blah. And coach addressed it, and this is what he said. So let's see if I can pull this up.
The other comment or question about Damar, Damar should in no way, shape, or form feel bad or apologize for him putting his teammates through this. I think we would all agree that God's hand is in this and has been in it from the first moment. And I think, and I should say this, when you watch how at times divided we can be as a country and a world, I think the thing we all recognized this week was when people can put love first and people first and come together, how powerful this country and this world can be for the good, and the amount of love that people can have for one another. And maybe it took a sporting event for that to happen, but I think that's a great example to all of us, and we should continue with that moving forward.
Coach of the year, man.
Hey, let me add something to that. That guy that you just heard, that's the guy that I talked to, and he has no reason to fake it for me. Mm-hmm. When I met him, when I was out there last, and we had a 15-minute conversation, that's the guy that I got. It ain't fake. He's the real deal.
He's the real deal.
But what he said comes with a caveat, Joe, as you well know, being in ministry. It only works if you practice it.
That's right. Absolutely 100% true. And I think he does. I think we saw it this past week, which has been incredible. So
not him. I mean, everybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah. If we all practice it, but it has to start with a leader. And that goes back to what you were saying, just as far as, it being real.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys watching. For Joe Miller, for John Fina, for Buffalo Rumblings, for all of us here, go Bills.
Hell yeah. Go Go Bills.
Go Bills.